Guessing that it would be more digestible,
Yep.
even though raw it was very, very crunchy and in fact delicious.
On a cold day, if I was hungry, that would be fantastic.
Yes, so the rind is edible too, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's no waste.
It's a great shame we haven't got more evidence for the use of the plant itself.
This is a problem with the nature of archaeological evidence. Tiny fragments of this in the fire are not going to be recognised as anything worth identifying from the outside.
No, give it another hour, it would be consumed.
It would, yes, it'd be turned to ash completely.
The more we discover, the more we realise how complex this way of life was. Food wasn't just about survival, it was about taste, variety and health.
It's a blustery old day today. You know, one of the things I really love about Britain is that there are still places where you can look out and feel that it's a wild, ancient landscape. This is sea buckthorn. This plant, we find it here on the coastlines, but once this grew much more abundantly and much further inland. It's an incredibly useful plant.
Sea buckthorn is an amazing bush. You can see how well it's protected. The thorns come out from the stem and create this incredible barrier to predators. The berries themselves grow tight in, and it's just about impossible to pick them because as soon as you try, they burst. And that means you need a special technique to gather them.
What I'm after are these really heavy drupes of fruit here at the bottom of the bush. And it's a messy business, but I'm going to now squeeze the berries into this container. You can see the juice is going where I want it to. You can see how much juice there is. Incredible plant. The smell is very, very pungent. At first it's quite a sweet smell, but after a short while it kind of becomes a little irritating. It smells like fermenting orange juice. It's amazing how quickly you can start to gather a considerable amount of fruit. Even though I'm stripping in the direction the thorns are growing, you do get pricked quite a lot when you're doing this. It's a tricky business.
With two of us gathering, it won't take long to get what we're after.
Well, that's very swiny, too swiny. It's the only berry of its kind that matures late August or even earlier and it persists on the bushes right through till early spring. And of course it's during the winter months that it's available, and this is when we haven't got other fruits to hand. So when all the other fruits have dropped off the trees, we've still got this sea buckthorn available. For our coastal hunter-gatherers in the Mesolithic, it would probably be of enormous importance as a source of nutrients that are in short supply during the winter months. Now in this particular case, of course, here in these berries on the bushes here, we have a huge quantity of vitamin A, large doses of vitamin C and vitamin E as well. And then on top of that, it's also got potassium, boron, manganese. It's a very rich source of nutrients.
There are parts of the world where it's highly sought after, even today.
It's probably the most popular tonic available in Russia today, and everywhere you go people are clamouring for this stuff, and when it comes into the shops there used to be queues for it. And I must say, whenever I've been in Moscow, it's the present I've been given most often.
It's an ancient plant that Gordon studied when he was asked to confirm the identity of finds made in caves in Greece.
There we go, Gordon. That's not a bad haul, is it?
That's pretty good.
I think what I'll do is I'll squeeze the berries a bit more.
Yes, plus the last prick.
So, tell me about that cave in Greece where this stuff was found.
Oh, yes, this Theopetra cave. It was in Thessaly, and it's a cave site, and they found charred remains of these seeds all over the floor. Well, of course, probably what had happened is they'd scooped off the dross, such as we're going to do now, and tossed it across the cave. It dried, and then somebody lit a fire thereafter.
In fact, as I'm squeezing this, you can see the seeds floating onto the surface.
Indeed, yes.
Look, you can see these all the black seeds here. I can probably, just with my hands, scoop out a whole handful of seeds.
It's little
Yeah,
oblong
those
objects.
are all seeds, and those bits we don't want. So scoop those out. Maybe they're doing just like I'm doing now.
Indeed,
Maybe this was their method of sieving.
it could well have been. Quite a few spines in there still, aren't there?
There are quite a few. I keep finding the odd one, but they're not too bad. It's a fairly slow job, but the gathering is very quick.
Yes, as so often, the gathering can be done very speedily, but the processing is often a slow job, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is where the energy costs come in.
I think this is very effective, what I'm doing here, as a way of getting rid of the seeds and things. But obviously we can speed things up because we've got a modern sieve.
That's right.
And I reckon we're at that point now. So pretty good return, isn't it?
It is a very good return.
What for? Half an hour's work?
Yes, it's very
That's
little.
not bad, and you think that that's all the vitamins that we've got in there.
Should we try it for flavour?
Yeah, why not? Go on.
Let's have a go. That's good, but it is sharp. It contains tartaric and malic acids for a start. Oh, well, that's very sharp. Try it, Rick.
Let's try some.
Ah,
This is good. This is like some great, hunter's initiation, right, isn't it?
that's not bad, is it?
Oh, that's sharp. The aftertaste, is revolting.
I
But it's
don't know
not
about revolting.
The aftertaste is. It's going,
That's not bad. It's
no,
sharp.
it's going straight to the back of my throat.
Really?
And there's this slight bitterness at the top of the palate I'm not so keen on.
So I don't mind that bitterness.
Oh.
There is a bitter aftertaste, but it's not bad.
Still a lot of sand in it.
Yeah, a bit of sand. That's the texture.
I usually add honey to it, and I'm sure our ancestors would have done the same. This plant is too nutritious not to use. These days we can find out exactly how nutritious by testing it in a lab. When you consider how close we still are physically to our hunter-gatherer ancestors, the information we're after is even more important. So we're having samples analysed at King's College London under the supervision of Dr. Tony Leeds.
Well, sea buckthorn results were absolutely fascinating because, as you know, we analysed the vitamin C content.
Indeed.
And that came out at around about 68 milligrams per 100 grams of whole fruit.
Now that's better than oranges, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I think one of the interesting things, though, is, of course, you've harvested these towards the end of the period
Absolutely, yeah.
when they're on the plant, which mean that, interestingly, even though it's been on the plant for maybe 5 months or so,
Yes.
and the levels would have fallen during that time, there's still a lot there which would make an appreciable contribution.
This is obviously very important for these hunter-gatherers, so this would have been the only fruit that would have been available at that time of year. It's obviously very important for their state of health.
And I think also it's important to remember what the requirements might have been. We think in terms of vitamin C content at the present time in the light of all the various adverse things that everybody exposes them to. But at that time, probably the critical thing would have been to have taken enough vitamin C to actually prevent scurvy. We have to remember that actually as little as 6, 8 or 10 milligrams per day actually prevented clinical scurvy.
And sea buckthorn has 10 times that amount in each glassful. When we tested sea kale, it was just as impressive. Burning a sample of sea kale under laboratory conditions is still the best way to ascertain calorific content. And we discovered sea kale has more calories than potatoes. But it was only when we analysed both raw and cooked samples under the electron microscope that our instincts were borne out. The calories are far more readily available in the cooked plant.
The best image of the raw plant. Of course, we're seeing then the very small round bodies which are